Hello, my name's Julia Green. I'm the author of lots of books for young people, including The Wilderness War, To the Edge of the World, The House of Light, and my latest book is called The Children of Swallow Fell. And this is I've just seen the cover for the very first time on the real book, and I'm very proud of it. Very exciting moment when you hold your new book in your hand. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my top writing tips for those of you who are interested in creative writing. And I suppose the number one thing to say to all writers or anybody who wants to write is, of course, you have to be a reader and love books. Read for pleasure, read as many different sorts of books as you can. Find the books that really speak to you. So if you haven't found that book yet, keep on looking, because there will be that book that will really allow you to kind of immerse yourself in a story. So all writers are readers, and that's how we learn about how to use language, how to structure a story. It's something that the more books you read, the more it becomes really part of who you are, and so those things become automatic. We also need to feed our bodies, but we also have to feed our minds, our imaginations, and that's what reading and stories of all forms, that's what it does for us. So that's my number one thing, read lots. The second thing is, I would say, obviously there's no rights and wrongs about writing, but what I have found useful for me is to have a writing notebook, or to have lots of different ones. So for my book, The Children of Swallow Fell, this was the writing book where I started. This is the notebook, sketchbook, which I used to start writing the story. And the idea of the notebook really is to have a place to put all your thoughts and your ideas as they come to you, to do it in a very light-hearted, playful way. So buy yourself lovely coloured pens and pencils. Sometimes I stick things in. So because this particular story was set in a very particular part of northern England, I'd stuck in a map to remind me of the places that I'd walked, and so I could sort of think about where things happened. And I found that a useful thing to do. And then I write down lots of ideas, lots of notes. I don't worry about putting things into sentences. I'm just getting ideas, writing things down. And it feels playful and easy. And although writing can be hard work, writing in the notebook never feels like hard work. It feels much more like play. So lots of different things I do. Sometimes I'm writing, sometimes I copy out maybe some lines from a poem that I like, or a sentence from a book that I love, and also sometimes I'm drawing. So I'm not a great artist, but I like to draw, and that really helps me get more ideas for my story. So if you haven't done that, I really think that's a really good idea to get a lovely notebook. Lots of different, sometimes the colour is very important to me, and I have different sizes. I have bigger notebooks and smaller notebooks, but the notebook and pens and pencils are really important. The other thing I think to think about is about where stories start, and for me they often start with a place. And one of the things you might really like doing, and I love to do this, is to write outside, to write in a different place. So today I'm outside. It's a lovely sunny day. I'm on my allotment where my potatoes and fruit and courgettes and spinach are all growing, and if I were sitting out here with a pen and my notebook, I would write differently from if I were writing inside. So sometimes it's really nice to go to a different place and to write in that place. And when you're in that place, to think about not just what you see, but also what you hear, what you smell, what you can touch, and all those things really help our writing come alive. So really notice things, notice the trees around and the sky and the clouds and the birds, and give things their names. So sort of learning the names of things can really help, again, with making the detail in a story really work for you. So the place is very important. Well, of course, that's not enough to have a story. You've got to have a person or people, characters in a story. And that's a really important part of the story, making a story for me, just getting the character. And I really, until I've got the place and the person and the situation that they're in, he or she, then the story's not going to work. So thinking about characters, and sometimes they just come to you. Sometimes I draw somebody, and as I'm drawing in my notebook, I'm beginning to learn more about that character, thinking about what they're like, what they're feeling like, what they look like, but also what they're like as a person, the things they like to do, the things they don't like, what's happened to them already before your story starts. And all that kind of thinking about the character can really feed into your story. So you've got a place, you've got a character, you also got to have a situation. And it's quite nice to start a story when something big has just happened or is about to happen. So in my book, The Children of Swallow Fell, the thing that's happened, well, it happens just as the story begins. There's a big explosion and it sets off a train of events, the things that are going to happen. So thinking about where your story starts can be really helpful. Thinking about what's just happened or what's about to happen that causes things to change, a moment of change, and that will really help your story really start in a very vibrant, lively way. And also think about the point of view from which you're telling the story. So in this story, I'm telling it in the first person as if I am Isabella. And that's one way you can tell a story, or you can tell a story as if you're a bit outside the character in the third person. But writing in the first person sometimes makes a story really come alive. So those are some of the things you can think about. The most important thing about writing is to have fun with it, to enjoy it, to feel that it's something that anybody can do. We've all got stories to tell, and not to feel that you have to show your story to anybody too soon, that you can write in secret. That's absolutely fine. You don't need to show somebody until you're really ready. At a later stage, it's nice to have comments and feedback on the story to help you make it even better. So there's lots of rewriting when I'm writing a story. So I write, but I also rewrite. So that's just some ideas for you. Hope you enjoy telling stories, writing stories, reading stories, and I hope you will want to read my new book, The Children of Swallow Fell.